Hello everyone and welcome to Pazzo Gaming. Today we're going to go through the Big Reactors mod. Specifically we're going to be looking at the turbines, which we're going to be joining up to our reactor. We made in our, probably go back an episode or two ago, we made a reactor, this one to be exact, that produces just RF. We have since added some inlets and outlets to it, which will produce steam from providing it with water. So we have a massive ender tank that holds our base water from our accumulators, so just for long-term storage of water. That goes into our reactor, and out comes steam, which we've also put into an ender tank. And we've provided these tanks on the outside, which provide more of a buffer, because unfortunately the ender tank is not the most efficient or speedy, I guess we'll say, in removing buckets in and out. So each port going out will allow for, I think it's 1 millibucket per tick. So in this case, it will allow for, I think it's 5 buckets to come out per tick into this one, and then this one can take a larger amount, but it allows for a little bit of bursting and everything else when the everything's starting up and going from there. Same thing we did on the water side over here. That's why there's these tanks and there's more tanks up here, because it does allow for a little bit of an influx when needed for high demand. So the big reason why we're building a turbine versus using how we had it set up before, which was just using the power tap over here, is the power tap was generated off the same reactor, the same size, generated about 12,000 RF. We're going to use a turbine, which will generate probably about 22,000, somewhere in there, if not a little bit more, RF per tick, or 22,000 RF per tick. And the other benefit too is you can probably run about 2 to 4 of those types of turbines off this one reactor design. And we'll have to play with that a little bit and see. So you can potentially get up to like 80,000 RF per tick out of the same reactor and the same fuel. So it makes things a lot more efficient. But it does take the additional tools and materials needed to build a turbine, and the space for that matter. So the turbine is actually a fairly big object. It's a multi-block structure. It's going to take up about an area that's, the one that we're going to build is a 7 by 7, so it'll be 7 wide by 7 tall, and it'll be 16 blocks long. So it's one of the bigger ones you can build, and I found it to be a very efficient design for getting power generation from steam. So let's get started. The very first thing you want to do is you want to build a turbine housing, which consists of 4 iron ingots, 2 nether quartz, 1 cyanite, and 2 graphite bars, and this will get you 4 turbine housings. So with these 4 turbine housings, you do need probably a good chunk of these. I don't even know. I'd probably say about 120. Let's see, you'll be 16 times 4, we're at 64. You'll probably need about 90 of these in the end. So you can see it quite a bit. This will be the most intensive one you'll need. But even these aren't too bad to get. You can get the nether quartz from the nether, obviously. Cyanite will get from just running your reactor without converting the cyanite back into plutonium. So that's a waste byproduct, which you already have, assuming you have a reactor. And then the graphite bar. So all these are fairly easy to make because you're going to need a lot of them. So we're going to take our turbine housing, which I've already made, and we're going to line it up to the back here. Let's start it, we'll start 2 blocks over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we're going to go 7 tall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're just going to square it off. Perfect. So now that we got that, now we want to go 16 blocks long. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and we want to go to 16. So we went too far. So let me just recount this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's not right. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 15 again. So we missed one. So there we go. So we got 16 long, and we're going to do the same thing again. We're just going to square it off. We'll square it off the other side. We'll go up 7. So we got 4, 5, 6, 7, and bring it back. Oops. So you can see this takes quite a bit of materials just to get the frame built, but in the end it's well worth it for the power generation that you're going to be getting out of this. Perfect. So now we're just going to bring them all back. Oops. My apologies, it switched to the wrong product there. Let's see here. We want housing. Perfect. And the last one here. There we go. We finished off the side. Perfect. So now we got our frame built. This will be our turbine, which will be spinning and rotating and all the good stuff that we're going to get out of it. Next thing you want to do is probably get your turbine glass. So the glass is made by having one turbine housing and two glass just around it, and that will get you one turbine glass. Got some ready made. And what you can do is you could frame off all sides of this. You could, basically the outsides either have to be one of the other things we're going to build, like the controller or the power port, or it has to be glass or the housing. So in this case, you could have the bottom, because no one's looking at the bottom per se of this, you could have that just made out of the housing. In our case, let's see, how many do we have? You know what, let's do the bottom in the housing here. So we'll just extend this all the way over. Make sure it doesn't switch to something weird that I don't want. We'll put that. Don't need our dimension right now. Just lay these out really quick. Get most of it. I'll go back and fill in any holes that we have. Perfect. Okay, so now we got our sides. Now we're going to take our glass and we're going to put them just down the sides. So it does take quite a bit of time just to even place some of these blocks for this multi-block structure. Especially this is partially due to the size of the reactor that we're building. We're building one of the biggest ones that you can. However, it is also one of the most efficient ones for space and use and everything else, and the most power that you're going to get out of it. So we'll just continue placing all these. And I'll go down this side. All right, so that closes off that side. And now we're going to do the back side, which we will make. Let's make this side the back side. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put a rotor in the middle. And we're just going to frame it in like so. So it kind of looks like a support structure. That's what we're going to do here. And in this backside, what we're going to need is one rotor bearing, which was this guy. Oh no, that's the shaft. Sorry, the bearing, which is made of 4 turbine housings around the outside, 3 diamonds, and 2 rotor shafts. And the rotor shaft we will also need, but it's made of iron and cyanide. So fairly straightforward. Again, cyanide comes from the waste product from your plant, from your existing reactor plant that you have going. And the rest is diamonds and housings you already have. So it should be fairly straightforward on that front. Just go in the end here, and we'll place our bearing. Now we can place our shaft, which our shaft will run the distance of our reactor all the way through. And we'll bring it right to the end. So it's perfectly in line. Now we can frame off the end. Perfect. And on this side, we're actually going to put the controller. Yeah, I think we'll put it on the side right here. So we're going to build a turbine controller. And the controller is built like so. So we got 4 housings around the outside, our diamond in the middle, and we have some plutonium. And the plutonium, if you recall from our last episode or a few episodes ago, it was created within our cyanide reprocessor. So cyanide is the waste product of yellowite going in the reactor, and we're going to process that into plutonium, which can then be reused in the reactor, or in this case, to craft our controller. Now we need our coil material. So our coil materials consist of, you can use iron, copper, brass, aluminum, steel, invar, silver, gold, electrum, platinum, shiny, titanium, indium, or lucite. And lucite is the most efficient one, so we're going to use that just for this example. It is also one of the most difficult ones to make, so it's definitely one you probably won't have right off the bat. You'll most likely be using like gold or iron. Platinum's not too bad. Shiny is fairly difficult depending on how things are going. Electrum you can do pretty easily. So we're going to get lucite, which is made by having 4 plutonium ingots, 2 indium blocks, and our 2 blazed rods, which will make you 1 block. So you're going to need, in the end, you're probably going to need about 32 of these blocks. And what we'll do is we're going to place them around the back end here, just like with the coil. And we're going to go, let's do 4 rows in our coil design. And we're just going to wrap it around, we're going to wrap it around our turbine shaft that we just placed. So this is going to act as the energy generation section within the turbine. Now, the only other thing we're to do is we have to put some fan blades basically on that are going to catch everything, and those are called turbine blades. And they're made with 1 cyanide and 2 iron, just in a different layout. Very similar to, if I recall, the shaft, which has it in the middle. This one has the cyanide on the left, and that will give you 1 turbine rotor blade. You're going to need quite a few of these because we have to go 2 levels deep. So the easiest way that I do this is just simply start at the bottom, just work your way back. Confirm that you got all the rows and do the same thing again. Oops. And then you can extend it. So now we've extended the turbine blades, and we're going to do the same thing here on the side. And on the other side. And now we're going to extend those. And the top side. And I just grabbed the wrong one by accident there. So keep extending it. Perfect. So now you just want to double check, because once we close this up, it's a little more difficult to get back in. You'll have to break something to get within. So I think that covers everything that we needed on the inside. I don't believe you need to have another rotor on the end. So we're just going to close this side up with glass. Perfect. Now we've closed those up, and now we're going to go and close the back or the top up here. And And a simple way to do this is just simply move down. We're just going to keep placing them like so. And do one row back. Now I think we've closed off the whole thing. Now we're going to very simply need our inputs and outputs for our fluids. And there's two fluids that are going to be, it's basically going to be the opposite of what the reactor is. The reactor is the input of water and the output of steam. Ours is going to be the input of steam and the output of water. So we're going to build our turbine fluid port right here. Again, 4 housings are on the outside, 1 piston, 1 bucket, and 2 iron. So fairly straightforward, easy to make at this point. We're just going to make those. And I have 2 right here. One right here. I'll put the other one right here. And I believe I just noticed we missed one spot for glass. Perfect. What else do we need? We got our power port, which we need. So our power port consists of 4 housings on the other side again and a redstone. So this is where the power is going to be coming out of the reactor. I'm going to put this, just so it's on a separate area, I'm going to put it, let's put it up here on the top, I think. Actually, you know what, maybe we'll put it right here on the top. And in this case, we're going to put 2. Just so we have both connected. Depending on the type of conduit you use, you can have, that will be enough, or it might not be enough. It really depends on how you're going to plan on moving the power out of the reactor, or out of the turbine in the end here. What else do we need? So we got our 2 blocks there, we got everything framed in, we got our controller. And right now, rotor blades must be placed. Let me just look into what I missed here, something I missed in the design, and I will be right back. All right, sorry, we're back here now. So the one thing I did, I had reversed. So the bearing needs to be on the turbine blade end of the turbine, not on the end where the coil is, which is what I previously had. So I just very simply just removed 1 block on this side, which was the bearing, and moved it from the coil end over to here. This end, I did not build the structure coming out, kind of looking like it's holding it up. I left it open because then you get more of a, you can see within the turbine and everything else. Once I did that, as you can see, if I break one and I just place it again here, actually we'll break 2, so I can pick that one up. And you'll notice that it switches into a multi-block structure, so it all becomes one unique thing, and you should be able to click on your turbine now, right here. So from your turbine control, there are a few things that you can play with and notice what's going on. So you can control the flow rate coming in and out or into your reactor. Higher flows, again, will increase your rotor speed. However, you may want to optimize it, keeping it at the 2 ideal speeds, which is 800 and 1800 RPM. So you'll notice that your power generation will go up at those times and come to a peak at both those RPMs. However, anything else, it will start going down. So you really want to optimize your turbine to run at one of those 2 speeds. The other thing you can do is engage or disengage coils, and this basically allows your turbine to get up to speed faster because that's where it's going to generate power. It's not going to generate as much power as it's coming up to speed. Sorry, it was 900 and 1800 RPM. Before when I said the peaks are for the generation of speed or power based on speed. So this allows you just to get up to speed faster if you disengage the coils and then you enable them. That's where you start generating power. However, it does put a bit of a load back onto the turbine, so you'll notice they slow down a little bit. So you kind of want to get it up just above. So let's say about 1000 RPM, engage the coils, it'll come down to about 900, you should be good to go. The other thing too is it depends on how you're running your turbine. You can make a turbine that's very efficient and uses no fluids and keeps everything within the reactor and all that stuff, and then you won't have to basically re-add any water into the system. Or you can do only when it's going to be overflowing. You can also put only or vent everything, which means the exhaust tank won't fill, but it also means you'll have to continuously supply your reactor with water because it won't be feeding back into this whole closed loop system. And very simply, this turns your turbine on and off. So right now, your turbine doesn't have any steam basically coming into it, so it's not doing anything once we turn it on. So now we're going to go and we're going to connect our reactor, or our steam, to our turbine, and then we can get everything going. So this is my output buffer that I built, and I can tell that because I have my servos on this side, which are pulling out of my tank into this tank, and we're just going to simply just connect these right across. So it's fairly straightforward for this one, and we'll have to put a servo in. I'm just going to grab one here. I don't have one made. That was something I did not grab, but we're just going to place a servo. We're going to right click on it, and we're just going to turn it on. So it's going to immediately start pumping steam in. Now if we go over to our control station, we notice it does have 4 millibuckets of steam within there. Perfect. Or 4 buckets of steam. Now we want it to go out. So to switch this, we simply need our wrench, which again I don't have, but we can solve that easily. And you'll notice that it switched from blue, or from red, which is the arrows in, to the blue coming out, and just by simply right clicking on it with a wrench. So this will be our steam output, or water output, I guess in this case, because steam is going in, water is coming out. And we're going to put this, and we're going to run this down to our water tank, which is this guy over here. So I'm going to simply just connect this like so, and we're just going to run it behind this. And we'll connect around here. So it's going to go up. Perfect. And again, we're going to add our servo, which I don't think is needed in this case, but I'm going to add it anyways, just so we have it and there's no issues. And we'll turn it on. Perfect. So now that runs any water that's generated back to our tanks on the far side there. Right now our reactor's turned off because our ender tank is right now currently filled with 13 million buckets of steam. So we got more than enough. So very simply, we can turn on our turbine, and we'll notice that it starts generating power immediately on this. We can see our power reserves fill up, which holds 1,000,000 RF in power. And what we're going to do is we're going to disengage the coil, and you'll notice that the RPM will actually go up a lot faster than when I have it engaged. So if I have it engaged, it slowly takes up. If I have it disengaged, it will go up a lot faster. And we're going to get it to the top range as fast as possible, and we're going to find out what the power generation can be for this reactor. So I'm going to let this get up to speed. I'll be right back, and once it's up to speed around 1900, let's say, I will come and grab you. All right, everyone. It's been probably about 10-15 minutes, and the reactor, or the turbine now, is up to full speed. So you can see it's around 1900 RPM. We're generating 0 power. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to engage the coils, and the engaging of the coils will force the power generation to start happening. So there's numerous ways that you can tweak this further. Right now, you notice as soon as I engaged it, it did come down. This is due to a whole bunch of factors that come into play. You'll have to, see where everything normalizes out. So I'm just going to let this sit here. It'll probably take about 20 minutes, half an hour to really figure out where it's going to be. And then from there, you can work on your power efficiencies, things like that. You'll notice as it's coming down close to the 1800 RPM, the power generation is actually going up. And that's because it's getting into that green band right here, which is one of the optimized period points. Much like this green band down here, you'll see the highest optimization of power generation. So you can see we went from generating 12,000 RF basically directly out of the reactor to being able to generate, right now we're generating about 28,000 RF, and right now we just have that straight going into this big capacitor bank on the side. So you can see it's a great efficient way of boosting your power, and you probably can use one reactor to run probably, like I said, probably up to 4 turbines, really depending on how you have it structured. If you build a bigger reactor, I've seen some reactors that you can build and probably run close to like 8 or 10 turbines off. So you can make extremely efficient designs, very large, lots of power. This allows you to run things like getting into RF tools, so the dimensions mod, which consumes an insane amount of power at the higher levels, along with laser drills, things like that. So anyways, Hope all is well, and hopefully this tutorial helps you on how to get a turbine up and running for your own base, and you can generate quite a bit of power. As I said, this will continue to go down and kind of balance out. Could be numerous things. Could be I don't have enough steam coming in, so I may want to add another steam input right here, which you can have multiple of, which would probably help on this occasion because I believe we probably could use a little more steam. But other than that, we could tweak this out. What you probably want to do is set this up to run off, much like how we had this capacitor set up to this power monitor. We'd probably run this capacitor off the power monitor, run some red cable over, which would automatically turn the turbine off and on based on, or the whole setup in this room basically for power generation when this reactor or turbine runs low. But otherwise, the 1.5 billion RF we have stored probably is enough for most things we need. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe, and like I said, let us know if there's any specific mods you want us to have a look at, and we'll go from there. Talk to you soon. Bye.